Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Carolyn and this is my Flosstube channel, Carolyn Stitches, a Flosstube channel about cross stitch, mostly cross stitch, sometimes some quilting, knitting, crochet, whatever else I happen to be doing. And today I happen to be doing counted canvas charted needlepoint, and it's my Flosstube extra to go a little further into that with you. So in a previous video, I did a little unboxing and showed you what comes in a kit when you order a kit from Needle Delights Originals and some other charted needlepoint counted canvas designs. And once again, I'm going to say I am by no means an expert. I've done one project so far, fell in love with it, I'm hooked, and I'm now moving on to my other project. But what I discovered as I was doing this was I could find very little out there on the internet in regards to counted canvas charted needlepoint designs. There's a lot of needlepoint, and a lot of this does use needlepoint stitches. A lot of these stitches in here are a lot of specialty stitches you can use in needlepoint, but there was nothing I found that really delved into the counted canvas charted needlepoint world. So that's what I'm here with you today on how I get started, how I get set up, and how I prepare to stitch. So first off, to recap, this is a pattern by Needle Delights Originals, designed by Kathy Reese. You can find it on the website, needledelights.com. In a kit, she will send you the pattern with detailed instructions, very detailed instructions. You will also get all the flosses that are needed. This one happens to have 9 colors of 9 flosses of Carolyn watercolors, and 3 flosses of number 5 DMC Pearl cotton. And it also comes with the canvas that she has pre-taped the edges for you. This is canvas from another project. This canvas I've already started, and I will show you how I did that. So the first thing to start with is your canvas. And I already have it on a frame, but to use these, I use a stretcher bar frame. This happens to be an example of how they come. This is just an example of 10-inch stretcher bars that I have for another project. They come in pairs of 2, so you can create custom sizes. Like this one here is 12 by 12. These are 10 by 10. So if I had a project that I needed like 12 by 10, I would buy one set of size 10 for each side and one set of size 12s for each side. This project here happens to be needed 12 by 12, so I needed 2 packages of 12 by 12. But this is how they come. They're notched on the sides, on the ends, and these fit together. So here's another frame that I put together. You can see, hopefully I'm trying to see, they just kind of slide together. And once you get them together, I mean, they're good in there. Also, what you'll need is the tacks. These are needlepoint tacks, brass tacks. You will need these to help attach your canvas to your stretcher bar. I use a number 20 tapestry needle. I'm not sure if that's right or wrong, but that's what I used. Pencil, good old scissors, and measuring tape. Oh, that probably startled some of your headphones. Sorry about that. So before you attach the canvas to the stretcher bar, you need to prep your canvas. So I'm going to get one of these other canvases out to show you as an example. And they come rolled up. It's very stiff, this 18 mono. See? Very stiff. But you do want to leave it on a canvas so you don't stretch it or warp it in any way. So this is the canvas. And the instructions will say, and it'll tell you how big your design is, how big each square is, and it'll tell you how to start. And this one recommends drawing the squares on your canvas before you begin stitching. And it'll tell you how to draw your squares. This canvas is for a different project, so I'm not going to draw on it, but I did draw on the other. So the instructions it gave for this particular canvas, and this may help, was to find the center of my canvas. So I used my tape measure and I measured 12 inches and I marked and I measured 12 inches and I marked and I found the center of my canvas, and I'll insert a picture here of how I found the center of the canvas. And then from there, it says, okay, now that you've marked the center of your canvas, which I did here, to count 24 threads and mark. Count 24 threads and mark, because each of my squares is 24 threads. Counting in needlepoint is a little different than counting in cross stitch. When you look at cross stitch and we look at a cross stitch pattern, we're used to seeing that on the pattern, the holes represent our stitch, and that's our stitch. In needlepoint, the holes are the holes. Your stitch is the lines. You have to keep that in mind with this. So when you're counting it, and you're counting it on the canvas, you want to count the lines. So for example, if this is my center that I found, that's my center. The line is a stitch or thread. So when it says that I found the center and I count over, I want to count 1 thread, 2 threads, 3 threads, 4 threads. And these are the holes. So that's where I'd be drawing my line, is on the holes. So I'm counting up 2 threads or 3 threads. It'll be 1, 2, 3 threads. And I draw my line on the holes. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm drawing the line on the holes. And I'm drawing the line on the holes. So the threads are the threads on the canvas. That is your stitch. The threads are your stitch. So when you stitch, you'd basically be stitching there, there, there. That can be what your stitches look like. And then your stitch could go like this. So you're stitching over the threads. It could even go this way. That's your stitch. The thread is your stitch. The line is your thread, basically, your stitch. I hope that didn't confuse you. So I found my center, and I don't know if you can see this, and I'll have a picture. I've inserted a picture, and I'm trying to do this on my phone. But I found the center. Where's my pencil? There it is. I found my center, and I drew a line between the threads. Then I counted over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 24. And I drew another line. And I drew that line between the threads in the space. Counted 24 more threads over. Drew a line. 24 more threads. Drew a line. Counted up. So I gridded it out in squares of 24 as per the instructions on this one. Another one says that maybe your border is 10 stitches by 10 stitches and you draw that out, and then maybe your first box might be 12 by 24 and you would count 12 by 24 and draw it. The next one might be 24 by 24 and you would draw it. Another pattern may say all of your stitches are 18 stitches square, so you draw 18 stitches. Read your pattern and your pattern will tell you what to do. Some other patterns are a little different. They say just identify the center, and then from the center you'll stitch outwards. These ones, Needle Delights Originals, pretty much from what I've seen so far, give you like a grid and tell you how to start. So I'll insert some pictures here of the process of me counting out and gridding out. Now, once I've counted out and gridded out, I followed the instructions and I labeled the columns with numbers and the rows with letters, because this cell here will be A1. This is A2, A3, A4, B2, B3, C3, D3, D4. So that's how the pattern will help you identify what stitches. It'll say the stitch for cell B2 and C2 is this stitch, and it could be the same type of stitches just turned. So as you can see here, this looks like one big stitch. That's 4 different cells. It's kind of the same stitch. It's just rotated around. And she gives the instructions showing it rotated. These look like one big type of stitch. It's 2 separate cells. and she'll tell you which stitches to put here. After you've marked your canvas, you want to attach your canvas to your stretcher bar. There's two ways to do this. You can lay your canvas on top of your stretcher bar with all your markings on top and then stitch that way, or you can do how I do it, where I tack it to the bottom of my stretcher bar and work this way. The difference is if you're working this way, so say you tacked it this way and this is your grid drawn here and you're working, this is fine. You can work this way. The only thing me personally am concerned about is when I go to end a floss or work in it somehow that I'm going to hit the edge of the stitcher bar. So I like to work this way where I have the depth of the stitcher bar here, and I can work and I can easily access my back of my pattern on the back of my work on the back without running into an edge or anything. Needlework, the needlepoint, you are supposed to use waist knots to start your thread, and I'll go into that, or to end your floss, you can sometimes use like an away where you kind of like park it off to the side and you stitch over it with further stitches. But you can also weave it under stitches or do like a Bargello tuck and tuck it in. And in order to do that, if I'm here on the edge of the bar and I'm mounted on top, I'm not going to have a lot of room to work. So that's why I like to mount it how I do, so I can easily just access the back of my work without running into any problems. Okay, so that is prepping your canvas. To get your canvas attached to the stretcher bars, use the tacks. And there's multiple videos out there that'll show you how to take your canvas, center it on your stretcher bar, and tack in the center, kind of pull it pretty taut to the other side, tack it to the other side, pull it taut to another, tack it, pull it taut to another, tack it, and then go around and just finish tacking up your canvas to your bar. There's multiple videos out there that show you how to do that, so I didn't want to get into that. What I do want to show you is how to get your thread prepped for stitching. So for the DMC pearl cotton, to prep your floss, push your two labels to the center of the skein, and you'll see it has two ends. What I do, and let's see if this is going to be easy or not for me to do, is open the end up. So I got the end open of one end, and I will take my scissors and cut through it. Find the other end, and you can undo the little knot thing they have here. See if I can get it. If I can't get it, I'm just going to cut it. So the little knot thing, I'm just going to cut that close to the knot. I cut that off. And then on this side, same thing, open it up. Got an oddball there, and cut it. So your floss is cut, it's held together, it's ready to use. Now when you're ready to use it, it's very easy to take your needle and come in and grab just one piece of floss at the top and hold it and pull it through. So you'll get one piece of floss, and it's like the perfect length of floss to use for stitching. What I found is don't do the old, who is he? Freddie Mercury, Queen, where you're swinging your arm out to the side with this huge long length of 1 yard floss or whatever, because this canvas, it's very stiff, and the more you work your thread through the canvas, it's going to start to wear at your floss. So you don't want this long yard piece of floss that has gone through the canvas so many times that it's going to look ragged by the time you're halfway through. Keep it down to like a workable length, you know, about 18 inches to the elbow, kind of like the same length you would use in cross stitch, an 18-inch or so length of floss. That's the length that you would use to start. So my DMC, that's as easy it is to prep the DMC. How I prep the Carolyn watercolors as you can see, it comes in the skein. Untie it from the card. A little knot here. It's just a simple little knot to undo. Sorry, my eyes don't see this that great. Okay, undo the little knot, pull it apart, unwind it. There's your skein of Carolyn. And you still got this little guy here to undo a little more. So there's my skein of Carolyn with my ends untied and the whole skein open. If you were to just snip this here, you would have like a yard length piece, too big to stitch with. By the time you're halfway through it, like I said before, your floss is going to look junky. It's just going to look, sorry, it's going to look like crap. You know, it's going to get worn by going through, or it's going to start to fray. You do not want to work with that long of a piece. So I cut it at the end where the two ties were. Hope I got that on camera. And then I cut it at the other end. So once again, that gives me a perfect length of floss to work with. And to keep it together, well, I would recommend doing this. Take a length of floss, your original card, and this has the color Ethiopia. Take one piece of floss and tack it to your card so you don't get your colors confused, that you can go back and look and say, okay, Ethiopia, the dye lot, this is what the floss looks like. You kind of have it together. The rest of the floss is I just kind of fold an easy little knot in it. Keeps it all together, nice and neat and pretty. And I will put this in a floss away bag to keep it together. So that's how I prep my flosses. Coming back with me on my next video, and I will start stitching on this. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope I didn't confuse anyone. Any questions, please leave them in the comment box below. Thank you.